Brian's copped a lot of shit over the years, the same as Dean, and some of it rightly. But anyone who questions this guy's commitment to DayZ, you go yourself. Well, you're providing a pretty decent segue into another topic I want to talk about, which was Brian Hicks's interview that he did with PC Gamer, and where he talked about in the early days of DayZ when they didn't have anything. He used to, and I remember these days, and people used to say it was favoritism given to the various streamers who were playing. But you now understand why he was doing it. Because that was the easiest way to catch all of these cheaters, and how he would just simply teleport them out into the middle of the ocean so they would freeze to death.
I love that. I read the article and I was really fascinated with it. And, you know, as you said, Boydie, I mean, maybe it's a joke or not, but the NDA is gone. Hey!
Yeah.
But it's actually really interesting to see an actual behind the scenes look. You're like, no, not trying to shit on Bohemia or the team, but actually like a reality check. This is how it actually was. This is what we had to deal with. This is the situation that we were in back then. This is what we had to put up with. And when I read it, and I you know, I've read it a couple of times just so I knew it sank in. I don't blame Dean Hall for leaving, and I certainly don't blame Brian Hicks for leaving. And, you know, the people who have stayed, the people who still continue in the game, they have more respect from me in that regard. They've got way more respect from me, because if you think it's bad then, yes, sure, it's probably gotten better now. But at the same time, it's like, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that obviously they'll never talk about. But at the same time, it's like, look, we need a bit more transparency. Well, we don't need it. It would be nice, but yes, take care of yourself, Ike, by the way. Much love to you, dude.
Yeah, the day Sumrak leaves, this shit's done.
I will say, like, as much as I have respect for the team, I hope Sumrak stays in for the long haul. But obviously, at the end of the day, like with anybody, in any team, in any company, in any project, they will leave sometime.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope that whoever comes in to replace them carries the mantle properly.
But Hicks's interview was mind-blowing. Did you read it, Marks?
No.
Mate, you should.
I didn't.
You really
You
should.
never read anything.
No.
He doesn't know how to read.
I can barely write, okay?
What about you, Blister? Did you read it?
No, I hadn't read that one yet.
You should.
It was a fascinating read. It was, you know, what they went through in the development. Like, he even talks about how 0.63 and the push for 1.0 and how unhappy he was about that. And they copped a lot of shit. He's copped a lot of shit from people. And then to find out that he was like the rest of us and thought it was a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised at that, because I was surprised at the Survivor games as well, how you touched on that. But I mean, because back then, obviously, a lot of us thought, you know, the decisions made for 0.63 and 1.0, it was, you know, it had to happen that way. Like, this was the only way it was going to happen. And it literally was just done for the console release. And it's like, that is fucked.
I think they just needed
the
injection of capital, though, man.
Yeah, they did. Don't get us wrong. I love our console players. You know, I love, like, if you can play DayZ, awesome. You're in the fucking community. Welcome aboard. But don't sacrifice your content and your game just to appease and get that cash injection. Like, that is going to fuck you over in the long term. And to this day, you still get people railing on DayZ because the legacy content still isn't back in. Like, I know we're going to be talking about the SKS, the speed loaders, the Magnum speed loaders. There's certain weapons that still haven't been reintroduced, like the rack, the Red 9, and all that shit, right? And it's like, yes, sure, we've got really cool content in the past 14 patches since release, but at the same, it wasn't a good decision at the time, and the game would have probably been a lot better if it was delayed.
They delayed us.
But when you look at it at the same time, at that point in the game's development, the game was on death's door. Like, it was like that final nail in the coffin, ready to be hammered down. So maybe in hindsight it was the best decision, but it's I don't know. I'm very divided on it. But at the same, I keep saying that at the same time. But in reality, that was the reality. That was what happened. You got to face it. So it's like, I don't know.
I think the slow drip of returning mechanics and guns and stuff like that, they're doing that on purpose because they have to have a reason to keep us coming back. If they just pushed it all out at once, it would be a short hype and then it would be right back to when are we getting bows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I want to see the rack back in every single PD on the coast again too, but
yes,
it'd be nice to find something other than the Scorpion.
Mm-hmm. And like Kara said, don't get us wrong, the state of DayZ right now is fantastic, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the decisions of the past are still haunting the game to this day, and that is not a good way to go about it. Like, I really hope that in 1.15, 1.16, that we really start to see legacy content come back. Like, there's a lot of good content that the game really had, and it'd be so nice to have it back. Like, the org, well, probably is going to give that in 15. There's no point in remaking the model in 1.14 and doing nothing with it. Like, come on, guys, seriously. But the other weapons, the other stuff, I wouldn't say would need it, but it would be really, really cool if there was a focus on getting that content back.
The only thing I want is to be able to hold reload and spin the revolver cylinder again and play Russian roulette.
Yes, I want
Okay.
Legacy Roulette back. That's what I call it, Legacy Roulette. I want that back.
What was your take on the behind the scenes dealings with Bohemia in this one, Archie?
I actually talked to Brian Hicks one time in the stream. I don't know if it was mine or his, and he was talking about his whole experience with it. And from there, I don't remember if he said it or someone else said it, but we were referred to Glassdoor.com, where employees can review their employers. Mm-hmm. And we looked at the Bohemia Interactive Glassdoor reviews, and that's when I realized that Bohemia is a big ass company, and DayZ was like a small little, subcategory within that company, and they had to do whatever the fuck the bigwig said. And anybody who's ever worked for a corporation or anything knows that the people in the boardroom are out of touch with everything going down on the factory floor. So I think they were forcing them to, push out updates, forcing them to, it was all about making money, right? So that's where the players suffered. And
it has to be, they're a business. They need to make money to survive.
True. I agree 100%. And like when Livonia came out and everybody pissed and moaned because it had to be a DLC. What the fuck did you think was going to happen, dude? It's a BI game. Every BI game has 20 DLCs you got to pay $15 for. If they ever introduce choppers, you're probably going to have to buy a DLC to use them, just like Arma 3 and Arma 2 or whatever. So, I mean, that's just this company because they need the injection of capital to keep the game alive and to keep development going, I mean, things maybe have changed. This has been years, but I don't know. I think it was a huge loss when he left, not just because he's from Kentucky, I do believe, and he's another hillbilly, but like me. But I really like him, and he was like one of the first devs that ever like started answering questions, that I would ask, and he was always receptive, and he cared about the game, and to the point where that was him, you said, right? That was teleporting hackers out into the ocean to freeze them to death? Or
I believe it was Dean Hall.
Yeah,
Just
but
one of the two.
Yeah, Dean Hall did that. Yeah.
Brian Hicks, like he was talking about the hacker problem once, and I listened to it. Like he at least he admitted it, because now they won't even talk about it. Like I thought that was just a joke that people were saying how they like sweep it under the rug. They really don't talk about it, about how bad the cheaters are. But yeah, I took a lot away from that article. I'm actually going to share it on the Discord after too, because it's a really good read, and it's a really good insight into the climate and the culture at Bohemia. And if you ever get time, go to glassdoor.com and look up those reviews of Bohemia. Like it's like it's like working for a feudal enterprise or something. It's crazy how bad those people, and they were only making like $35,000 a year, which is like, you know, an entry level salary. It's not great. And then to do all that work and put out an update to a game just to have everyone piss and moan about it, you know, there's no satisfaction in that whatsoever, you know?
No. Which is probably why it's like, I'm not going to try and like suck our own dicks or anything like that, but it's probably why when we talk about the game, we try to bring some positive light to it, and bringing, you know, you guys coming in, like you guys in to talk about it, and we talk about the positive sides. It must be a really nice breath of fresh air for them, you know, knowing that, yes, they do get a lot of crap, but we do enjoy the game. We enjoy what they're doing. And we'll tell them, look, you're bringing the game in the right direction. Like, we absolutely praised the fuck out of the team in 1.14 when that came out. And that must have been really, really nice. But I want to hear more. Blester, what do you think about the whole situation, though? Because I know you said you didn't read the article, but I want to hear your opinion.
Well, with the development of everything, man, you know, coming from, I mean, I started on console.
Right. And
I was, you know, the game was at that state, but every update since then has pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, man. I think they're going in a good direction. And like y'all talk about, you know, adding the content that was in before I ever started playing the game, you know, I think that's great. They need to reach back and grab some of the stuff they took out and put it back in the game.
Yeah, I don't think I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a really large demand for a lot of that stuff back. Like I just realized what he was saying, that a lot of people don't even know what's gone. Like the tanning of leather, and nobody even knew there used to be tripwires and snare traps and fish. You know what I mean? So this is all new to them, because most of the players right now weren't playing in the mod. You know,
I had a comment. Somebody was like, "Oh, bring the M249 back. It was in the old version of the game." And I was like, "It wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It was never in the old version of the game." People don't know. You see, they think because it's in the game files, it was in the previous versions of the game and stuff. They're just not fully caught up on what was there and what actually wasn't there.
Yeah, I had the same argument about the Gorza rifle. I'm like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
that?
somebody said that
They
as
have
well,
to go back and watch YouTube videos of people, you know, like Paul or, you know, Frankie, you know, showing that, you know.
What did we have at launch? We had the Mosin, SKS, the M4, the FNX.
The Mosin you couldn't peek with.
Yeah.
Did we have the Sporter? Was the Sporter Amphibia? The Amphibia was in.
Sporter wasn't.
Because I remember I was desperately trying to find a magazine for the Amphibia, and it was fucking rare as rockin' horse shit.
I just remember finding an M4 in every single green crate in Berezino on official servers. Like, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
And Riffy had like 12 of them.
A very good comment here, and I do agree with this. Holding off on the early access launch of DayZ would have been like shutting down the fidget spinner factories in the summer of 2017. Yeah, it's important to remember that Bohemia was capitalizing on a phenomenon and didn't know how long it would last. So, yeah, that, as much as it sucks, you know, they had to. And to their credit, you know, this is one thing that we've always got to remember. For all the things that have gone wrong through the years of development, you know, we showed the Steam charts before, DayZ is still up there. There's just something about this fucking game, regardless of everything. There's just a magic to DayZ that not many other games can capture.
It has a charm, man, that you can't duplicate. Everybody tried. Everybody, you know,
No other game.
Every time,
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard me say it before. Every single time there's some new DayZ killer, it's always just a flash in the pan. Dirt Matter, Dead. What was it?
Oh, Dead
Dead
Matter.
We call it
Dead Side as
Dead-
well.
Dead Side.
Dead
We call it
Side.
Dead
Yeah.
Game. Like, there's so many, man, and they're all just meme Steam games. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But it's not going anywhere.
I think
it says
they-
right there, Rust was inspired by Dean Hall's
DayZ.
DayZ mod.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Oh,
another
yeah?
one. That's the only one that's came even remotely close. You know, and it's so off the wall, far fetched. I love the game, but it's so
It's different,
different
and that's what I like about it. And that's why Scum is coming back slowly, because it's different. Everyone wants. We talk about this all the fucking time, and everyone wants to. There's almost like a desperation out there for someone to finally kill DayZ. DayZ will always have a player base until they shut the servers down. There's no more support for the game. But even then, there's a magic to this game that especially for those of us who've been on this ride since Standalone was launched, and the real OGs who were on the mod and all the rest of it. So many people. Like, I just had someone reach out to me the other day. I took a 2-year break from DayZ, but I miss it. I've been playing Escape from Tarkov, which is great, but I miss the survival aspect of DayZ, the grind. There's something about this game, and the state that it's in. All things aside, someone said it before in chat. 1.14 is one of the best builds of DayZ. Cheaters is an issue and all the rest of it, but the core of the game, fuck me, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
It actually is.
I think DayZ still has more players than Arma these days, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think
So like,
those Steam charts are just PC, right? That's not counting console.
Yes.
no,
that
just
sounds like
PC. Yeah.
I know that sounds like a stupid question, but I said that in the video, and people keep arguing with me.
Yeah, no, that's only Steam. There are ways to see player numbers, and I imagine at the end of the year, the DayZ team will do their update and show what the player numbers are being. But yeah, it's fucking amazing. Maps based on satellite scans of Normandy is a perfect partner of DayZ in the Battlefield game we all need. What's that in relation to? Hell Let Loose. Yep. Yeah. But no, this was a fantastic article. A really good insight into the struggles that, Brian's copped a lot of shit over the years. The same as Dean. And some of it rightly. But anyone who questions this guy's commitment to DayZ, fuck you. Go fuck yourself. I got to meet the guy in 2015 at PAX Australia, and he was the nicest fucking guy, hey. He blew us away. He met with a bunch of pretty much fucking Aussie nobodies, and we met with him when he did his talk, the infamous 2015 roadmap. I was there to watch that live, so that's always a special memory for me. And then afterwards, he said, "Let's go have lunch, guys." And we were like, "What? Okay." We went to lunch with Brian Hicks. And we were blown away. Like, this guy's spending time with us. We're a bunch of fucking nobodies. But we've got a great photo of all of us sitting around a table having lunch. He offered to pay for it. We refused. We did a round table. I think in the end, Vanguard, another Aussie mate of mine who's been on the podcast, paid for the lunch for everyone. And then Brian said, "So where are we meeting up for drinks tonight?" And we're like, "What the fuck? He wants to have drinks with us now?" Oh, fuck yeah. And we had a great night with Brian Hicks, with Vigilante Gamer there, and it was so much fun. And the stories he told us, and it was just, the guy's heart was and still is in DayZ. Like they say in the article, he actually does stream on Twitch from time to time, folks, and he's been experimenting with old builds of DayZ. So, the same as we talked the other week about people need to be watching Sumrak stream. Go watch Brian Hicks stream as well. It's fascinating to watch him and listen to him talk about, not just DayZ, but, as it's known, he's now with Dean again over at Rocketworks doing Survive Icarus. And he's a fascinating guy to watch. And his heart and soul is in DayZ. I do like that they talked about Survivor games in here. that God, I'm still sad about Survivor Games. It will come back. I have no doubt. One day we will get the yeah. There's a ghost behind you, apparently, lad.
No. There's a ghost behind me, is there?
Apparently.
Get fucked.
We should definitely reach out to Hicks again. I know he's busy with Icarus, and see if he's ever available to come on. Because if his NDA has lifted as well, he might be able to tell a few stories that he didn't get to include in the article as well, which would be pretty cool to hear. So.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send him a message and see what he says. He's only stood me up twice so far on the podcast, so not that I'm counting.
Third time lucky.
It would be good to get Hicks and Soma and Lou together, the three of them. That was my plan when I had Soma and Lou on. Brian was meant to be there, but he slept in. And to get the three of them again, because they've just got such a fucking legacy of DayZ. And I love the history of the game, the history around the game. There's the history of the game, and then there's the history of everything that's happened around it. And DayZ is just... I watched a video the other day about PUBG. The Fortnite one. And in there they talk about how so many games can count DayZ as the inspiration for them. So many games came from it. Brendan Green, he talks about him in this article here. Bohemia passing up on Brendan Green has to go down as one of the biggest fails of a business of all time. They had the chance to take basically the Survivor Games model, and if they'd had Brendan Green with that, you can imagine what would have happened. But to find out they ummed and ahed at hiring the guy, didn't think he was technical enough. And then he went on to,
So hire DOJ before it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not technical enough.
It's almost too late.
Here it is here. There was a lot of hemming and hawing for some reason that he wasn't technical enough to bring on. Hicks says, I was like, are you kidding? He did DayZ Battle Royale. He knows our engine. Bohemia's interview process was just as drawn as it had been at the birth of DayZ, and while discussions were ongoing, Hicks got a call from Green. Hey man, I don't know what... You should probably read this part, Archie. You do the best Irish accent in here.
Wow. Let me put on my Mark's glasses. Hang on.
Wow.
What part could you hover over it? I was thinking about Mia Khalifa. Hey there, bud. Green said, I don't know what to do. The company is offering me the creative director role in my own game. The company was Bluehole. I think that's Mia Khalifa's company too, actually. And the game was PUBG. Wow, I didn't even know this. Hicks advised him to take the job. I can't match that. Wait, that was Hicks.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fucking this all up. Hicks is from Kentucky. I can't match that, he replied. I ain't no way I can get Bohemia Interactive to put you in that senior of a role. You'd be stupid to pass that up. Is that pretty good?
Yep, and history is history. Brendan Green went on. What was that, Marks?
I said spot on with the accent.
Spot on.
He does have a very thick Irish accent, Brendan Green, I've noticed.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. But no, sad, very, very sad. And then what happened with Survivor Games, even finding out more about that. The plans to open a Survivor Games studio in Seattle, meanwhile, had grown complicated. Bohemia was already opening a new office in Amsterdam, and that project was taking up all the company's administrative bandwidth. When the time came to renew Hicks' residence visa in the Czech Republic, he instead rented a house in Redmond, Washington, intending to be the advance force for an army of Survivor Games developers. The great irony was that, though he was back home, he never saw it. Instead, working during the night to match Czech hours, his windows covered by cardboard boxes and gaffer tape. Worse, it proved much harder to be DayZ's leader from another continent. So Hicks was going to lead Survivor Games. Could you imagine what would have happened if he'd stayed and been the lead developer for Survivor Games? We wouldn't have ended up with that abomination that got released.